So many niggas hating me, get them away from me.
Always up on my own, don't need you all in my zone. Spend so much time alone, while I'm riding strap on my chrome. Always up on my own, don't need you all in my zone. Spend so much time alone, while I'm riding strap on my chrome.
Always up on my own, don't need you all in my zone. Spend so much time alone, while I'm riding around with my chrome. Always up on my own, don't need you all in my zone. Spend so much time alone, while I'm riding around with my chrome. Trying to keep it on the true side, nigga. Laying low to play it cool, nah, nigga. Ass niggas on the team, I've been known to get the green ever since I was 2'5", nigga. Coop hanging out the roof, nah, nigga. Cause I ain't stunting on them. Put my whole team on so they ain't wrong. When niggas doing bad, you know that they be hating on you. Get the hoping that you fall, they be waiting on it. Bullshit, get bread from the envy. Best friends get to looking like enemies. When you got it in this bank account empty. Perfect recipe to brittle out of jealousy. Looking from a bird's eye view. Learn from everything I've been through. Told my baby girl, if you ain't spending life with the nigga, never let him put a dick up in you. Cause if a nigga wrong, I'ma check that shit. And when you paper long, never flex that shit. Told my son, when you getting money, never trick it to a bop and flip it over, then invest that shit. Give a lot of game, trying to bless my kid. Gotta keep it real, that's the best shit. Got hitters up in Philly, back in Texas. When I get up on the track, yeah, I wreck shit.
Always up on my own, don't need you all in my zone. Spend so much time alone, while I'm riding strap on my chrome. Always up on my own, don't need you all in my zone. Spend so much time alone, while I'm riding strap on my chrome.
Always up on my own, don't need you all in my zone. Spend so much time alone, while I'm riding around with my chrome. Always up on my own, don't need you all in my zone. Spend so much time alone, while I'm riding around with my chrome.
Weapons of our warfare is not carnal, I was born in it. You converted, this is not for you. Weapons of our warfare is not carnal, I was born in it. You converted, this is not for you. Handle like your teddy bears, I'm trying to leave your block romantic. Flicking off the hip, I leave the scene looking like I'm dancing. Ain't one Westworld, best believe we not gonna stand big titties on a drum. The stick figure looking outstanding. Rip his top with the hands of the Lord, call that God tears. Send a spear right to the sky and watch his front tear. I'm that nigga cause I run with them niggas, so let's get that clear. Don't question who say I'm the GOAT. I tell them God did. In order to be the best, you gotta beat the best. To me, that's suicide. Of course, I sound cocky to a glizzy eater. Fuck your pride. Don't need a horoscope to see I'm a star, so fuck your sign. You can believe in anything you want, but as for me and mine, God mode. I am what I am, so let's just keep in mind. I wanna be like yeah, Kyrie, they wanna be like I. She said she lost until she found me, and then she found the tribe, and then I make a bout face until she called me out of wine. The weapons of our warfare is not carnal, I was born in it. You converted, this is not for you. Leave an imprint of my legacy with a spot for you. No way you can endure to the end if you not loyal. Weapons of our warfare is not carnal, I was born in it. You converted, this is not for you. Leave an imprint of my legacy with a spot for you. No way you can endure to the end if you not loyal. All time, no questions asked, we come and find you. His problems, my problems, and I'm standing behind you. Stepping with style, I'm standing on shit in my product. I take with a crowd, tell them all, throw in a towel. Half moon with a silencer, make it sound like a howl. We the shit, we about movements with a growl. Heavy is the head with the crown when I take it, I'm proud. I get the order, bring my sword back wet with a smile, nigga. I'm an Israelite rapper, nigga. Would never hit his wife, but I'll go at you. I make commitments to a gun if I'm talking about a tantrums. Nigga said he a stand-up dude, that mean we laughing, nigga. Jumped on the beat, start snapping, you leaving fractures. Red and green bean, I'm Gucci, you thinking fashion. There go shoot for the green, and I ain't talking St. Patrick. You screaming all lives, I'm screaming all guns matter. Keep it biblical, talking in parables, cause it matter. If I say bring Jake up, I'm talking about a ladder. He was the wave till I came with the fire, no John the Baptist. Who cared you did it first? You should be worried about who after. I'm connected in any habitat, shit I adapted. Nose job on a brand new snub is all plastic. That's why I show up the court with jeans on. I'm never slacking. You a rapper turned Israelite. I'm an Israelite rapping. Weapons of our warfare is not carnal, I was born in it. You converted, this is not for you. Leave an imprint of my legacy with a spot for you. No way you can endure to the end if you not loyal. Weapons of our warfare is not carnal, I was born in it. You converted, this is not for you. Leave an imprint of my legacy with a spot for you. No way you can endure to the end if you not loyal. All time, no questions asked, we come and find you. His problems, my problem. Stepping with style, I'm standing on shit on my product. I take my pride, tell them all, flip with a tie.
Excuse me. I got a question.
Somebody give me Romans 13 and 11.
I have a question.
It's a Robert Carr, man. Give me Romans 13 and 11.
God, this is the book of Romans, chapter 13, verse 11. And that, knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep.
Brother, you need a water?
Thank you.
Looks like we're running on. All right. So shalom to the brothers and sisters. This is Isupk. We're coming out of Delaware. My name is Officer Hall, and we are under Commanding General Yohana. And we always let you know that we've been called to teach the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And these are so-called names because these aren't our actual God-given names, as some people don't even realize. But we have been called to teach the so-called Blacks, so-called Hispanics, and Native Americans that we are the lost sheep of the house of Israel. When you look at the demographic that I just spoke about, you can see that these are disenfranchised people. These as in we, because I fit in that demographic. I would be a so-called Black man, but in reality, I am from the tribe of Judah. Because you'd have to wonder, why does your oppressor get to name who you are? Why does your oppressor get to drag you from beyond, borders that they slaughter for and stole from somebody else, keep you here and control how you think, what you eat, just whatever they feel and please, and then you don't have any critical thought about it. When I say control, I mean just do social engineering, because when they put certain things on TV and they program, it's called a program for a reason. You're being programmed to do a lot of things which are, contradictory towards nature. They're contradictory towards what the Lord wants. But, a lot of people who would hold themselves to be spiritual people, even they fall into that same group of being controlled by the oppressor, because they've been raised by a system in which Christianity has white supremacy in it. So you're being raised by that system and taught to think not only is, the better half of, the country white, but who you serve is white. The standard is, white, or the oppressor rather. So, I'm gonna be going over some things. There's a lot of things that I've been seeing in the news that I'm gonna have to speak against, because here in ISUPK, we stand with the Most High. And there's scriptures that ask, who will stand with the Most High? I can't bow to this country. I can't, pledge my allegiance to an oppressor that would, number one, denounce God right in front of your face without you realizing it, but also, put my people in a predicament where we are, third, fourth, fifth class citizens. So I like to start off with Matthew 5:17. For those of you Christians who think you're spiritual, but think that the law is done away with, because the law is not done away with. And that's the reason why Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are in the predicament that we're in. And I'm talking to those people because at the end of the day, as you can see, everybody else has what they need as far as representation. Somebody can speak for Palestine on a global level and say, hey, this is not right. There are millions upon millions upon millions, possibly, if I'm not mistaken, billions of Muslims who will say the treatment of the people in Palestine aren't right. You have the full force of the United States government backing Israel. And then in other countries, as far as like you have France, who the Africans who are within that country or territories that France owns that are African, they have Russia starting to back them up. So you'll start to notice that we don't have that. Native Americans didn't have anybody having their back when their lands were taken. Blacks didn't have anybody having their back when we were stolen, from where we were in the East and brought over here in chains. And Hispanics don't either. If you know anything, you'll know that there was a battle where settlers or colonizers came over and stole land from Mexico. We can get into a little bit of that later. And heroes that America has that are actually just evil devils. So we'll go ahead and read that now.
This is Matthew chapter 5 and verse 17. Think not that I am come to destroy the law.
So Christ right here, and this is a bread and butter scripture that we have in here, because Christ is literally saying, think not that I am come to destroy the law. Continue.
Or the prophets.
Or the prophets. So that encompasses what God gave to Moses for him to give to the Israelites, and all these prophecies that have to take place over a certain amount of time. So when you talk about the prophecies, there are still prophecies that have not come to pass. So as you think to yourself, one of the prophecies was Christ has to come back. That has not been fulfilled yet. When Christ said it is done on the cross, that means he died for our sins. So now it's done for us to have a second chance with that covenant. That doesn't give us the right to think that the law is done away with in the form of now we get to willfully sin. Because the part of the law that was done away with was speaking about the punishments of the law. Now we have a different criteria to follow. Continue.
I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill.
Christ is definitely going to fulfill this law when he comes back with those millions of angels. It gives a number, and it might be a figurative number, but it says 2,000 thousands. Yeah. So that's 2,000 times 1,000. So that's a prophecy that has yet to happen yet. Christ has not come back yet with 200 million angels and placed us in our land, or placed anybody in their land, rather. Because the scriptures say that we would be scattered to the four corners of the earth until we were gathered up and sifted from among the heathen. But yet there is a person in our land right now, in the land of Jerusalem, in Israel, that is claiming to be somebody that they are not. So if you want to go off the scriptures, you can see that, well, wait a minute. Christ hasn't come back and put anybody in the land. America did. America put Israel in that land and went so far as to teach them a form of Yiddish Hebrew and give them instructions. And that's something that you can look up. This happened around the 50s. They were rescued by the United States from Adolf Hitler. Our savior is not going to be Adolf Hitler. The Israelite savior Salakia. They were rescued by America. The Israelites are not going to be rescued by America. They would be oppressed by America. Let me get Luke 21 and 20. So we can kind of talk about one more thing about being fulfilled. Because there's a lot of things that, you know, we get wrong searching, you know, for God. Some people earnestly and truthfully search for God. They want to do what the Lord wants, but for whatever reason, they don't come into the fold correctly. They know something's not right at the church. They know something's not right at the mosque. They know something's not right within those places where they serve, but they haven't come into the fold yet. And I believe wholeheartedly that this is the fold based off the brotherhood that I experienced, based off of all the things that I've come to see. And I've had people that are someone who in the world I would have looked at as somebody regular, but once you take off that carnal eye and you look at it with a spiritual eye, you can see like, okay, this person that calls himself a priest and a prophet of the Most High said that there were going to be times like this in the future, and there was going to be war, and there was going to be famine, and they're naming specific things that are happening within those wars. It's not just like a war, like, okay, there's some little skirmish. Okay, this is happening. Specific things with specific countries.
Right.
And there's one big thing that I'm waiting to happen so I can boast in the name of the Lord and let everybody continue to know that the prophets in here, we have it right. So yeah, Luke 21 and verse 20 starting off the line.
It's the book of Luke, chapter 21 and verse 20. And when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh.
So this is Christ talking about the desolation of Jerusalem. This is where Israelites were still within Jerusalem. Christ is there, and he's letting them know about events that are going to come to pass. Continue.
21. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled.
So this is another scripture and a prophecy talking about the fulfillment. When this is going to come to pass, Christ will have already died on the cross, and he said, think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I come not to destroy, but to fulfill. He doesn't want you to break the law at all till all be fulfilled. And still, that doesn't mean after everything is filled, after he comes back, we get to sin and the law is done away with. These are things that have not come to pass. What verse was that, Salakia?
That was Luke chapter 21. We started at verses 20 and 21. We read 20 and 21.
Okay, can I get continue to and read verse 22 as well?
So we did read 22.
Oh, 22? Okay, let's skip down to 24.
All right, verse 24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captives into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
So we have another instance where it's saying till it be fulfilled. The Gentiles that this is talking about, because contextually you have to understand, Gentiles can be talking about Israelites that are not following, you know, the laws, the statutes, and commandments, and they've been either Hellenized in Roman captivity, or there's an issue to where, you know, they didn't make feast days. That would be a Gentile concerning an Israelite. An Israelite can even be a stranger, The scriptures say so. But this particular one is talking about those Roman soldiers,
Right.
The children of Edom. Their days have to be fulfilled. That hasn't happened yet. We have to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. And it sounds so far-fetched, but if you look at the way the world is going, things are not getting better. Divorce rates are higher.
Right.
Crime rates are up. People are just just disgusting, self-loving people that will do any and everything. And these times have been spoken about. They're lovers of their self. There is no brother and sisterhood that I can see in the world. You know, I have friends in the world or acquaintances that just still don't know how to treat each other. to where I have to worry about which people I can bring around which people, because there will be a conflict or a situation because there's no brotherhood. I don't have that issue here. That's why I love it here, because I can invite anybody out with anybody in here and I won't have an issue. They're going to salute each other. Shalom, Yahaba, Shem Yahweh, Barakatah, and it's going to be all love. You need something to drink? You good? Oh, this happened? I got you. No worries. Let me pay for that. This, that, and the fourth. That's what I want. That's what I get in here. And it's kind of hard to go in certain situations with friends in the world because they don't know that. They don't know how we should treat each other. Let me get 1 John 5, 2 through 3. Right now, as we look, I'm starting to see a lot of stuff about we as a people, being Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, should be worried about conflicts that are happening thousands of miles away with two different groups that have nothing to do with us besides having some things in common that I'm gonna give you guys the breakdown on. So let me get 1 John 5 and 2 through 3. The one, sir.
1 John chapter 5. 1 John chapter 5, verse 2. By this we know that we love the children of God, when we love God and keep his commandments.
So this is another bread and butter scripture that we should be looking at and saying, well, wait a minute. If you say the law is done away with, if you say that we no longer have to follow the law, we have to sin, this is saying something different. This is saying the love of God is to keep his commandments. That's what this is saying. Love is not a feeling, as I constantly say. It's an action word. It's something that has to be done. It's not butterflies. Like there's a lot of times where, let's say, a young man see a girl that he likes, and he'll get a feeling. He'll really like that girl. He'll see her. He'll be like, "Ooh wee, she's fine. She rocking. I like her. I gotta holler at her." Right. And then later on, the feelings in your chest, you feel like they get stronger. Your mind is bonded with how you feel as well. But it's dependent on how you treat that woman. It's dependent on what you do to that woman is whether you love her or not. That feeling and your words don't mean anything if you don't do what's right by her, and vice versa, her with him. Not only can she just say sweet words, she has to be loyal. Being loyal is an action word. Helping that man out and being a helpmate, like Eve was supposed to be to Adam, those are actions. Holding that man down. There are times where a man loses his job, whether it's, let's say a man loses his job, for example, and it's not his fault. That woman's supposed to hold him down, not make it more stressful. Bond with him, make some ideas, get into the thick with it, and make things happen to where you guys are in a better position. Not to come down on his neck. Oh, you know good. BAN, you can't keep a job, this, that, and the fourth. Or, you mess around, you break up with a female and you can no longer see your son. That's not love. Whether you have a feeling or not, these are action words. The Lord wants action. Right. The Lord is about action, and actions, they speak louder than words. That's a saying that we all familiar with. Let's get that again from the top.
1 John chapter 5 and verse 2. By this we know that we love the children of God, when we love God and keep his commandments.
You know what love is? Love is having a loyalty. Let's say a by and large people talking about different racial groups. Love is this, and this might sound funny, but there's a devil named Dylan Roof. He went into church and he killed he unalived innocent black people. This dirty devil's people loved him so much that they sent funds for his defense in the millions. Right. In the millions after this devil did. They didn't even separate themselves from him as far as like, oh, wow, he did something terrible, this, that, and the fourth. And a lot of them will say things like, oh, that's terrible. But look at the actions that people show towards Dylan Roof. The arresting officers took him out for a burger. Right. We don't even treat people that well that do good things for us. sending millions of dollars. And then if we send our funds to an interest, it's to Black Lives Matter, and they steal all our funds. Black Lives Matter will be ran by an oppressor, somebody that's not a Black, Hispanic, or a Native American, and funded by it just for the the Democratic Party to have a stronghold and have our vote. It won't be in our interests. And I can see now that they're starting to, there's news coming out that's saying that a Black Lives Matter chapter was celebrating terrorist attacks. They're trying to tie simply being Black and loving who you are being a terrorist because we want to follow behind some group. Who is it? George Soros? And then it's run by 3 of the L community members who don't even want to see the Black family be strong. Yeah. We gotta be careful who we show our loyalty to, because supporting Black Lives Matter, that's not loving your people. That's loving George Soros and the Democratic Party. That's what that's doing. So if we can go to Ezekiel 36:5, we got a lot of stir about there being a situation. Also, Dashayan was breaking some heavy stuff down in his last class, and I definitely had to take notes, just like I had to take notes in Officer Kaash's class, because these are the times when we need to know what's happening, what's going on, and how to deal with it. And right now, Black leaders don't have that for us. They're asking us to support people who don't need our support, who are going to receive support from outright terrorists on both sides, because I see both sides, Israeli and Palestine, being terrorists on what they're doing. You bombing a hospital, it's a terrorist act. Kidnapping people, it's a terrorist act. Secluding people in an open air prison to where you're blocking them off in Gaza, that's terrorist activity as far as I'm concerned. And the oppressor has known how to be a terrorist for so long, it doesn't even make any sense. Even jumping on the ships when Britain was first over here and throwing the Boston Tea Party and pretending to be Native Americans. And the Native Americans is something that I want to break down today too. So Salakia, Ezekiel 36:5, before I run too long on another subject.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 36 and verse 5. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea.
So you got the residue of the heathen and all Idumea. Is there more on that? Okay, go ahead, Salakia.
Which have appointed my land into their possession.
That's the part I wanted. You have to see that we're going through a situation to where we want to argue and talk about support for 2 parties who are in possession of lands that don't belong to them.
Right.
It's saying heathens, the residue of the heathens and Idumea. So you got all types of heathens that are over there, and the actual oppressor who is fathered by Rome.
Right.
These heathens are just breakoffs that spread out from the Greek and Roman Empire. That's all that it is. We think that, oh, you have the French, you have the German, you have the Little Hats, you have the Russians, you have all these different people who are Caucasian, but they are all fathered from Idumea,
right,
which is Esau. And the Lord talks about these people and he has indignation for them. Let's continue to read that.
Which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds, to cast it out for a prey. Prophesy therefore concerning the land of Israel, and say unto the mountains, and to the hills, to the rivers, and to the valleys, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because ye have borne the shame of the heathen. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, I have lifted up my hand. Surely the heathen that are about you, they shall bear their shame.
Absolutely. So we can drop that, but what that verse is talking about is how everything is going to come to pass. Like I said, things are going to be fulfilled. This has not been fulfilled yet, to where the heathen is going to be shamed. They're going to be ashamed of what they've done to us when it all comes out, because there's going to be no turning back. There have been so many atrocities that have been done to us as a people, right, that it just compares to nothing else that's been done to anybody else on earth. Let me get Joel 3 and 2, because there's something that we need to learn. We need to just simply love each other. There's so many times where you have these black leaders who would want us to give our love away, but not to ourselves. And you see it in small instances, you see it in big ones. Right down to the situation where Botham Jean was killed by that right, oppressor of a police officer. The brother forgave the killer before he was even rested in the casket completely. The judge is brushing that woman's hair. But I hear horror stories from brothers in this school and in the world about their own kind, black judges, men and women, who treat them like dirt in that courtroom. But on a different instance, you see, you've been raised as a Christian, which thinks Christ is an oppressor. You think that Christ has blonde hair and blue eyes, so you have an affinity towards the people who have terrorized your ancestors and still terrorize your people to this day. But you don't have love for your people like you should. You don't love them enough to give them a second chance, down to something as simple as business, down to something as simple as talking to a brother and saying, hey, man, you did this to me. I didn't appreciate that. I want to work this out because I don't want our relationship being messed up because you treated me wrong. And the brother you might gain a friend. That's what the scriptures say to do. I'm paraphrasing. We don't have enough love for our people. Day in and day out, we'll want the love of the oppressor and the acceptance of them, and we'll forgive them with an instance. We'll talk about, oh, free Palestine. Free them for what? From what? Free them from what? The oppression of Israelis? Somebody is coming to help Palestine or avenge them. So there's some countries that are coming to help them. They have what they have. It shouldn't be us. We should worry about Chicago. Yes, we should worry about Flint, Michigan. Yes, we should worry about Philadelphia. We should worry about every single impoverished black city that we have out there, and we should get on board and show solidarity with each other. Not somebody in another land that gets to come over here and afforded opportunities that you can't even dream of. To not even really have to wait in a line for state benefits. I don't see that many people from out of the country, whether they be Arabs, whether they be Asians, whether they be Hamites, because honestly, I can tell the difference between us and an African. So I'm not getting it confused. I can tell the difference. I don't see many of them when I was in that line getting benefits because I was wrongfully terminated by an oppressor. They weren't in there. Neither was the little hats that are over in Israel. They weren't in that line with me. My own people were. Salakia, let's read that, Joel 3 and 2.
It's the book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse 2. And I will gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat.
So this is talking about World War III. We're starting to see the brink of that. This is the Lord saying what he is going to do with all these nations. But yet you in the Christian church and around the world who have nothing to do with God or know nothing about him say he loves everybody. Why is he gathering all these nations into the valley? Continue.
And will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel.
So he talks about gathering all nations. These are physical people. These aren't spiritual nations. These aren't metaphorical nations. These are all of the other people outside of Israel that he's going to gather up. And why is he gathering them up in this place? For his people. He's not mentioning them in the context of being his people in this verse. He's not mentioning anybody else ever having anything to do with heritage except for us, Israel. The importance of that is so major. But yet you'll have a preacher tell you that the Israelites pretty much did away with they didn't accept Christ, so now we have our chance. No, we are these Israelites who have always had a chance. Continue.
Whom they have scattered among the nations, and have parted my land.
So not only did they scatter us among the nations, which, if you know what's going on in diaspora, was putting us in slavery. We didn't just go on vacation. We didn't get scattered and go to Cancun, Vegas, Disneyland. We were put in hard bondage. We were put in situations that are unimaginable by any other. It's unimaginable by any other name of the word. Like, you can't even think what people had to go through. Sexual assaults from the oppressor were ridiculous. The chopping off of limbs was ridiculous. The just separating us from our children, it was unimaginable. Continue.
Verse 3. And they have casted lots for my people.
We can stop there. I'm gonna get one more verse. This is Habakkuk 2:12, because Habakkuk. We want to talk about stolen land, how the Palestinians are being oppressed, and how, or on the other side, how Israel has right to the land. This is saying that the Israelites were scattered.
Yes, sir.
This is saying that there was a situation where Christ is going to have to bring us back into our land. The last time I looked at the scriptures, that's not metaphorical for America. America put the Israelis in power in that land for good reason, for very good reason. But it has nothing to do with the work of God. It's for the love of money, which is the root of all evil. Absolutely. It's for power and greed that they have them over there. If you can position Israel in there, you have access to a lot of different things that you wouldn't if they weren't over there. Joe Biden pretty much said himself, if we didn't have in Israel, we would have to manufacture one over there, because it is of great interest of the United States to have them over there like that. It's a lot of control that we have in the Middle East. Mm-hmm. Read.
Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 12. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood.
So the Palestinians are in a land that doesn't belong to them. The Israelis are over in land that doesn't belong to them. And on one hand, the Palestinians are having people, even our own kind, saying we should speak against this. But who spoke up against the Native Americans and what they went through? The Mexicans and what they went through. I'm gonna see if I can make sure I have all the information and try to go through it and not prolong the class too long. But there were over 300 treaties that the United States broke with the Native Americans in order to steal their land. There are still treaties that hold weight till this day that have a legality that could be brought before, courts to where they should get their land. There were instances where it's either the League of Nations or NATO, where Native Americans went before them and brought their case. Who spoke up for them? Did Palestine speak up for them? You're in stolen land and you want us to speak up for you? You had slaves in Palestine until the 1930s, after it was abolished, and you want us to speak up for you? No, somebody else will. To hell with you, you deal with it. That goes for both sides. And I have instances on why Black people should step away and step out of other people's business. I see these memes like, oh, that ain't none of my business. Keep that same energy with this situation, because you don't want to be linked to terrorists. You don't want to be linked to the people that the Lord has indignation against. Stay away from that situation. Don't get your heart involved with that and really want to stick up for a side. It's not your fight. The Lord is gathering them into this situation. That's right over where the scriptures say in Joel. Mm-hmm. That little skirmish there, as well as the one with Russia and Ukraine, is playing a part in our liberation that the Lord is going to bring. Stop messing and meddling in other people's business, or rather stop trying to get us to. People like Mark Lamont Hill, which I'm gonna play some video of him talking and saying just the stupidest things. Continue.
Habakkuk chapter 2 and 12. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood.
Destruction to him that would take the Native American lands and kill them and murder them, build cities on top of their bones, bring slaves over here, kill them, make them work for free, build a town in blood that would take land from the Mexicans. After the Mexicans literally let the United States rent land from them so they could work and use the land, that wasn't enough. Mexico had a very large part of the United States. Do you know what the settlers did? They caused a war between Mexico and the United States so that they could have the full force of the United States government after the Alamo was fought, which the Mexicans won, which was fought with black soldiers as well.
Right.
Then they came over and slaughtered the Mexicans, and the Mexicans had to enter into a treaty. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans slaughtered for this land. We didn't get any justice, but you wanted us to fight for other people, even as far as to say, "Hey, let's support the Ukraine." They hate you. What are you talking about? They come over to the United States, and we brought out articles how they don't even want to be around you, whether it's in the UK or the United States. They'll say I'm not comfortable with this, sending my sending my son or daughter to school with so many black people, living around these black people. But yet you want to tie yourself and say, "Oh, it's terrible what's happening in Ukraine." That's the Lord's work. Whatever the Lord wants to happen is going to happen.
Right.
Any more on that verse?
All
right, yeah, you can finish that out, and I want to play some of this guy Lamont Hill, Mark Lamont Hill.
And established a city by iniquity. That's the
Okay, so they established a city with sin. They established a city by stealing a man, right, which is us. They stole us and used us for exports and imports so we could get cotton to various textile companies. They got the freest work that we've ever seen in history. They made us work for free, bludgeoned us and beat us to death, mutilated our children, had us in captivity for over 400 years physically. Now they have our minds. Mm-hmm. And then we have black leaders like Mark Lamont Hill that is going to say stupid stuff like I'm about to bring to you. And don't follow a man like this or listen to what he has to say. I'm about to play what he's saying right now. So he's being interviewed by Candace Owens, and both of it is funny because they're two blacks on opposite sides of the spectrum when it comes to who they support as far as political parties. Candace Owens, she's what you would call the right, and then you have Mark Lamont Hill, which you would call the left. We should not follow either one of those sides. We shouldn't follow either one of those sides. Let me go ahead and cue up this video. It might play more than once, but I want you to hear what he's saying and what he's being asked. So she asked him, "Can a man get pregnant?" And he tries to justify saying yes by saying he knows trans men who can get pregnant.
Only women can get pregnant. The fact that we've arrived in a society where there's something in spirit that these are facts. So you can see that this.
You want to bring a picture up with the black guy?
Matter of fact, yeah. Kaash is actually going to bring his picture up so I can give you a little context of who's saying this, who he is, and you can look him up as well. And this argument that they're having right now, I'm trying to show you how he's being questioned about something. He won't even take a stance on the side of reality. Who knows what he believes in as far as his faith? But he won't take a stance on reality so he can gain whatever he can through his political party as far as who's he's affiliated and what money he's getting. He won't even say, "No, a man can't get pregnant. That's not how this works." A woman is the one who carries the baby. A man is the one who actually cracks and fertilizes the egg. He can't even say that, but we're supposed to listen to people like him. And he's on BET. He's telling us to vote. He's telling us all these things to do. It's a small picture.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it bigger.
Oh, Salaki, no sweat. So yeah, that was the argument there. Now I'd like to play a video of him, and I'm going to break it down what he's talking about, what's happening in Palestine, because he's saying that blacks, we should support them because Malcolm X said to support them.
It's like the camera is following your hands.
Oh, okay. Let me go ahead and reset that. So yeah, they want us to follow. Oh, it's not moving at all. Salaki, we have some technical difficulties. Let me go ahead and fix this. And let me see. Did it freeze? Okay, now we're good. Salaki, y'all. So, you know, Mark Lamont Hill is one of those people who will say or do anything pretty much that the oppressor wants him to say and do. And at the end of the day, we need to know not to follow people like that. I've seen many of the brothers above me, whether it be the generals, the officers, they stand firm with the Lord and say what is right. Even at the threat of ridicule. Even at the threat of ridicule. Even when we're on the streets, we say things that are unpopular, but they're the right things because the Lord said it. And the Lord's words stand forever. A man can't get pregnant. Let me go ahead and give you what this man was saying about us supporting Palestine. And we'll break it down.
Long tradition of black folk who have stood up and spoken out against the occupation of Palestine and spoken for the liberation and self-determination of the Palestinian people. I'm Mark Lamont Hill.
So this is the same guy that was speaking about you know, pretty much whether or not a man can have a baby or not. And if you can just Google a picture of Mark Lamont Hill and throw it up on the street so they can see it at the water.
And made these trips to Africa and also to the Middle East, I became interested in what Malcolm was interested in.
So hold it there. He's talking about black people going to Africa and to the Middle East. What about your people right here? If you know anything about history, you will know Africans sold us into slavery. They have not been over here one time to liberate us. Palestinians owned slaves. They weren't our liberators. They were our oppressors. But you want us to support their interests. You want us to support what they want to support. You want us to have a chance at being put on a no-fly list and being deemed as a terrorist financier. That's what you want. You want us to be affiliated with that. I have no idea who's behind these things or, you know, what's going on, but this man is on a national platform. This is the root. This is something popular that people see. You want black people to be blamed for a lot of different stuff talking like this. We're going to get blamed for stuff as a whole because of people like him.
Just thinking about black freedom on a global scale. I then went back to graduate school after my PhD to pursue another degree in Middle East studies. I wanted to know what it meant to be black in Georgia.
You want to know what it's like to be black in different places? Just know you're getting called an N-word or a slave in different places. You should know what it's like. If you're black in the UK, you're the N-word. Right. If you're over in the Caribbean, you're an N-word. If you're anywhere in the world where you are an actual black person, not an Hamite, because the Africans know that we're different. They'll call us a kata, which means wild man or cotton picker. These people are different from us. We know what it's like to be black everywhere because you can just research it. These are modern times. I have articles about it that I'm going to pull out right now.
Egypt to since the end of the 19th century, there has been a growing battle over the area that is now known as Israel and Palestine. Waves of Jewish immigration into the region combined with tensions over land, over employment,
Land that is not theirs. Either one of them. Let me get Micah 2 and 2, 1 through 4. So, and we can keep his face on the screen for a second. While you get that, I'll play a little bit more of the video because I think there was one key part.
What the state would look like have gotten more and more intense over this period of time. Over decades, we saw a greater and greater emphasis on pushing Palestine off the land, taking away land rights, taking away employment.
They are Native Americans that lost millions of acres of land, who had treaties broken from the 1700s to the 1800s. America and other colonizing nations are literally the biggest thieves on the entire planet. We can't be worried about what we have going on with other countries and other places. I'm gonna play a little bit more.
And you saw resistance, you saw struggle, you saw battles, and at the same time, you also had increased anti-Semitism, you have increased pressure around the globe, which is compounded once you get.
You're worried about oppression against and racism against two different people who hate you. Love is an action word, as I mentioned. Hate is an action word. This man is trying to get us to follow. He can't even tell us that a man can't get pregnant, but you want us to help liberate somebody from a different country that has nothing to do with us. He didn't mention Haiti from the French. The Haitians have been paying for their freedom since they kicked France out of their country. They haven't been liberated. Right now, China and a whole bunch of other countries are pulling away land from people in the Caribbean. Where's the liberation there? What about your people who haven't been liberated in the close places to you that are actually your people? I'm gonna put a little bit more. Salakia.
The 1930s, 1940s, because you now have this thing called World War II, which
He's talking about the 1930s and the 1940s if Palestine didn't have slaves until that time. And then after they had to have deals with certain people within certain countries that didn't want them having slaves, they just put it on paper that they were servants, kept the children and made them serve. Is this dude out his damn mind? Crazy. Salakia. Yeah, let's get to Micah. What did I say? Micah 2 and 1? 2, 1 through 4. 1 through 4.
All right. This is the book of Micah, chapter 2 and verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it.
So they're practicing different stuff. That what they're doing is devising plans against us, snares. Whether that would be having deals with the Hamites to get us over here and put us into slavery, whether the practicing of evil would be just simply making a treaty and promising Native Americans that you were going to do something. Oh, we'll give you this, that, and the fourth. You'll get to keep this land. Making the land that they had smaller and eventually taking the little part that they left them with. Continue. No sweat. And that's exactly what's happening. Okay, go ahead.
Because it is in the power of their hand, and they covet fields and take them by violence.
They took the Native American lands by violence. Like I said, these treaties were broken. They are legally binding contracts. Nobody has stepped up to give these Native Americans their land back. You want to know why? Because it's not in the best interest of the oppressor to do so. It's not in the best interest to give any Black or any Hispanic or Native American the free will to have their own land and actually be able to provide for themselves. Hell, you're not even allowed to collect rainwater. Why would they give you land so you didn't have to be sufficient on grocery stores and malls and different infrastructures that discriminate and oppress you anyway? It's not in their best interest. When you gain power, they lose it. The verse talks about says they had power to do it. When the Native Americans made those treaties, they didn't even have the power to enforce them. But the oppressor had power to not only like break the treaty, but even go further and push them out even more. The president, Andrew Jackson, was writing his wife letters about slaughtering the Native Americans.
Yeah.
How dare the United States take a position of righteousness or fairness in any instance when they have violated everything the Most High said not to do? Every single thing you can think of, this country that is with speaks against the Most High. But yet you want us to support people that are over there that have the United States interest. Let me stop moving my hands for the camera messes up again. You want us to stand bold with the United States' government. You want us to go to different places and help oppress people outside of ourselves. Hell no. The same people that were being asked to support oppressed us on both sides. Let's continue to read that.
All right. And take them away. So they oppressed a man in his house, even a man and his heritage.
They not only did you take away our houses, like the Native Americans had what they had on their land, but you took away his heritage. You put the Native American young man and young woman in boarding schools, cut off that young man's hair, made him stop speaking his language, and gave him a whole nother name. They were not called Native Americans. You oppressed us, took us from our homes over in West Africa after we fled Roman persecution and were dispersed. And you took away our heritage. The Mexicans weren't called the Mexicans. What haven't you stole on this planet? And you would ask the same people who you oppress. You would get a coon, a puppet, to ask us to help people that would oppress us as soon as they get what they want. When they had slaves in the 19th century, when you can still be called a derogatory term based off of you being a black man over in the country by both sides, I have the articles to prove it. You will want us to help liberate people who still oppress us till this day. What the hell is Mark Lamont Hill talking about? He is a coon puppet. A man that can't tell the difference between a man and a woman getting pregnant shouldn't even be allowed to speak on our behalf or give us advice. He should shut his damn mouth. Let's get a little bit more on that.
Verse 3. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, behold, against this family do I devise an evil, from which you shall not remove your necks, neither shall you go haughty, for this time is evil.
So you wanted to do all these things to us? You're going to see that you're going to suffer the same thing, but it's going to be double the time, double the pleasure. It's going to be sweet like double mint gum when we see that. It's going to happen to you. Let me get 2 Peter 3:9. Right. We need to get on board with what we're supposed to be doing. And after that, I'm gonna move to a verse that talks about us having hold on, let me see, Salakia. All right, yeah, that's I want to move to 2 Peter 3:9. I have that marked down for the lesson. I can't even remember what it even says, Salakia.
This is 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 9. The Lord is not slack concerning his promise.
There it is. That's why. Because there was a promise made to us. Luke talks about all these things that are supposed to happen as far as our salvation. There's stuff that's supposed to happen as far as the covenant. People think that the judgment is not coming for what you've done to us. What man or woman in their right mind would think there wouldn't be a punishment for slavery? No matter what you believe in, you talk about karma, you talk about you reap what you sow. Right. Why wouldn't there be a punishment for slavery and what you continue to do to us till this day? Exactly. Even in modern times, you made it to where we couldn't get ahead. Black people put their money in banks after slavery. You stole it. Native Americans made treaties with you. You killed them. You took their land. Mexicans rented you land. You took it. You killed them. Now you won't even let them come across the border. And when they do, you lock their babies in cages. You lock them up and put them in concentration camps. When you're realistically the foreigner who made laws over here that don't really even hold weight, you just have the power to enforce them. The oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of.
Exactly.
Continue.
As some men count slackness, but is long suffering to usward.
You might think that you have been able to get away with what you've done to this people, whether they be Black, Hispanic, or Native American. You might think you can stay over there in that land and try to fight on both sides for land that's not yours. But you and that land is going to be given into our hands. That land is going to be ours, our heritage. The Most High said in these verses, he's going to gather you up, all nations, in the valley of decision, the valley of Jehoshaphat, and he's going to plead with you. That pleading that he's going to do is by fire. Right. You're going to be destroyed. And a remnant of you is going to be put in chains. America is the biggest culprit of putting Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans in chains. Not only is this the house of the thief, but it's literally spiritually Egypt, which means bondage. It's literally Sodom, or Salakia, spiritually Sodom, which the Most High is against. A man being used out of his natural use, a woman being out of his natural use. You think you're going to be able to escape these judgments as if you can mock God. God will not be mocked. Exactly. That's why here we stand on the principles that the Most High put before us. We stand on those commandments, right? Because we don't want to be judged with you. Some of us might get judged with you, but here the men that take the oath and keep it and love God by following those law, statutes, and commandments and make Christ their king, right, we're not going to have to deal with the punishments you have. We're going to reap the rewards of what you get. And it's going to be sweet. Exactly. Continue.
But is long suffering to us word, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance.
That verse is talking about all of Israel possibly coming to repentance. That is talking about all of us being saved from our enemies in the hands that hate us. Don't ask us to help victims that victimize us. Don't ask us to support people who would never support us and had a hand in our slavery. On both sides, hell no. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, we're talking about the war that's in Gaza, the war that's in Israel, Palestine. Maybe you've been hiding under a rock, like Hamas. Maybe you don't know about it, but it's happening right now. And it's going to be for our liberation. Their demise is our uprise. That's all it is to it. And that's what we have to get through our heads. I understand as a people, we have some of the biggest hearts and we have compassion. It's okay to have compassion because there's going to come a point in time where we have to rule the nations and we have to do things that are right. They have to pay first. We have to love our own. We have to feed our own first. When my son is hungry, I make sure he eats. I can't feed everybody's children and let my son starve. It doesn't work like that. Israel is a family. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we come from one family. We have a progenitor. It went from Abraham, Isaac to Jacob. We are one family. What they said, one blood. That's supposed to be what they were talking about, but they talking about every man is one blood. We even make songs for the nations that don't support us. Let's move to Zephaniah 2:1, and we're going to go through verse 7. I want to break out a couple of things that I'm seeing in those verses, because Zephaniah 2:1 is talking about Israel gathering. And this is one that is another bread and butter scripture. Gather yourselves together, O nation not desired. They're desired over there. They're desired over here. Wherever we are, we're not desired. Every single nation is desired somewhere. Asians love Asians. Hamites love Hamites. Oppressors love oppressors. They love each other. They'll support each other. They'll fly halfway around the damn country, help start a restaurant with a damn near a stranger because they're both Asian, build that one up and keep it going, get their own, and then continue the process. Live like 6, 7 in a house, know how to get along. And will beat the brakes off you in one of their stores if you don't act right. We don't have that. We have quite the opposite. We support everything but each other. Let's go ahead and read.
Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1. Gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired.
Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, everybody hates you. They think you're filthy, stinking animals, which you are not. You should come together and have solidarity. Don't listen to Mark Lamont Hill and go support everybody else. When we support others and bring them in, we weaken ourselves.
Okay.
We have to deal with what they want to deal with. We have to fight their cause. And when we do that, we forsake our own. Continue.
Verse 2. Before the decree, bring forth. Before the day pass as a chaff. Before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you. Before
Christ comes back and there's thermonuclear warfare, we are being told to gather ourselves together. Let's come together. It's not that hard. All we have to do is follow the plan that the Most High laid out for us. We have to love our God with all our hearts and our mind, and we have to treat each other like we would want to be treated. We have to treat each other as we would love ourselves. I know I paraphrased it, but that encompasses the entire law. We can get along with those two instances right there. Read.
Before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you, seek ye the Lord, all ye meek of the earth.
All the meek of the earth and seeking the Lord is talking about doing what the Lord wants. It's talking about following his laws, statutes, and commandments. The meek of the earth is talking about us. We're the meek of the earth. It says the meek shall inherit the earth. You should know that it says Israel shall inherit the earth. Scriptures also say that the world was made for our sakes. That meek is talking about us. We got the precepts to prove it.
Exactly.
Read.
Which have brought his judgment, seek righteousness, seek meekness, and maybe y'all shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger.
What is going to happen is when those ships come, when we're delivered, we might be able to hide in those chariots and look down and see the destruction that is taking place on the earth. But if you don't do what the Lord wants and follow these scriptures, you're going to be right down there, feet on the ground, getting destroyed with the very people who hated you the entire time, who you were supposed to be delivered from. Go ahead, sir.
And it's heavy what you're bringing out, because to be hid from the Lord's anger is such a blessing. Because it's just like when God sent the plagues over Egypt. And when the Israelites had to put the blood on the doorpost.
Damn
so
right.
Be hidden from the angel of death.
Right. Damn right.
So there's another angel of death coming, man. You want to be hid from that. You want to get up in these classes and you start playing with the Most High.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's an excellent point. There's a lot of similarities between our deliverance out of Egypt and our deliverance out of the north, as the scriptures say. Yeah. But this one is going to be crazier. This one is going to be talked about, and it's in the scriptures. I'm paraphrasing for time's sake, but it pretty much says that the Lord is not going to be called the Lord that delivered the children of Israel out of Egypt, but delivered us out of the north. Exactly. This instance is going to be so crazy. That's what we're going to be celebrating. Continue.
Verse 4, for Gaza shall be forsaken.
So Gaza is going to be forsaken. You see that the Gaza right now is getting jacked up. They're telling them to leave there. They're saying forsake that. Gaza, also known as the Gaza Strip. Continue.
And Ashkelon, a desolation.
So Ashkelon is a city. It's also known as back in the day, it was known as Tel Ashkelon, and it was the oldest and largest seaport in Canaan. The Lord is talking about what's coming to these places. Continue.
They shall drive out Ashdod at the noonday.
Ashdod, that's another city in Israel. That accounts for 60% of Israel's Salakia, 60% of Israel's imports and goods. I lost my thought process right there. If I could, let me just read some, because there's other scriptures about Ashdod. In Zechariah 9 and 6, I'm gonna just go ahead and read that for you real quick. That talks about how somebody else is going to dwell there. That's another clue that who's saying, or who's there that's saying who they are not really who they are. Let me go ahead and get that for y'all. Give me 1 second, bear with me. So this is Zechariah 9, verse 6. And it says, and a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, and I will cut off the pride of the Philistines, and I will take away his blood out of his mouth and his abomination from between his teeth. A lot of the times when the Lord is talking about different places in times of the past, and he's mentioning prophecies that are going to happen in the future, it's not speaking about the actual nation of people like Ashkelon, Gaza, Ashdod. It's talking about the current inhabitants, because as we'll read down further, the people that are calling themselves Palestine or Palestinians aren't actually Palestinians. That place was Hellenized by the Greek, and there are remnants of the heathen over there, which were once Greeks, but are like kind of like a mixture, but they're not the original Palestinians. We can continue reading.
And Ekron shall be rooted up. Verse 5. Woe unto the inhabitants of the sea coast.
Oh, Salakia, let me just say one more thing. Ekron was a Philistine city. So back in the day, that was a Philistine city. And it was known as, what was the name of it? It was like, instead of EKRON, it was like ACCRO, like Akron during the Hellenistic period. So if you know anything about the Hellenistic period, you'll know that the Greeks Hellenized it and they pretty much took it over. There's a remnant of people from that time period that are still there, but the original people of the land are not there. But the people that are there in possession of it, they're going to suffer. It's not their land. You should have wanted no part of this. You shouldn't have been found with the children of Israel in your hand, and you shouldn't have been found taking their land. Continue.
Verse 5. Woe unto the inhabitants of the sea coast, the nation of the Cherethites.
It's like the people that were on the sea coast. Matter of fact, I think it says it in a verse. If you keep reading.
The word of the Lord is against you, O Canaan, the land of the Philistines.
Okay, we can stop there. So you got Gaza, Ashdod. These are all cities that we're mentioning that are in Israel, in Palestine. And these are, prophecies that are foretold. I want to get you what they all have in common, whether you be Palestinian or Israeli. Let me go ahead and read it for you. I believe I sent you that article, right? Possibly not. It's too wild. I can find it because I sent it earlier. Let me see.
So I just got the video. I get the article.
No sweat. I got it. So there are Black people that are around Israel and Palestine. And out of all the places that I named, and out of the people that are there between the Israelis and the Palestinians, guess what they have in common? Not only are they on stolen land, Salakia, what you think they got in common?
They hate us.
They hate Black people.
Right.
Let me get it for you in an article if you don't believe me. So in certain parts, Black people are called Afro-Palestinians. Over here, they used to call us Afro-Americans. You got different people like us that are separated and thrown in all these different countries scattered around Earth. Palestine and Israel is one of them. It says Afro-Palestinian, and Salakia, my phone's a little jacked up. Afro-Palestinians face double harassment and double the racism. They've seen it from both sides. Mark Lamont Hill asks us to support people who hate us. For what? they have a little tan on them. They're still like the KKK.
Exactly.
You want us to support white supremacy too? All right. So let me get to the article. Let me see. So I'll try to read through, skip down for time's sake. It says Nisreen Salim, and if you can put her picture up whenever you get a chance, is an Afro-Palestinian. And matter of fact, I'll send you the article so you can actually put her. I want people to actually put a face with the name. So I just sent you that just in case the picture's too small. The way I sent it to your email might have been a small picture. So it says, Nisreen Salam is an Afro-Palestinian from Egypt who has been mocked due to her skin color and hair for most of her young life. The 25-year-old is one of at least 400 Afro-Palestinians from Nigeria, Egypt, Chad, Senegal, Sudan, who live within the walls occupied by Jerusalem's Old City, adjacent to Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. All right, let's see if I can skip down. Okay, here it goes. The hardest part was when I started hating everything about myself because I was being pointed at and attacked verbally. So this is the issue that plagues our community. We begin to have an issue with ourselves because other people don't like it. I don't ever want to change who I am. I'm fine. I'm not even fine with it. I'm happy about the hair that I have. I get to rock some fire braids, twists. I can rock an afro. My hair is like they describe Christ as in the Bible. My skin ain't as dark, but hell, I can get dark in the summertime too. I don't have an issue with my skin color. I take pride in who I am. And let me break it down for you. Our nation is not based on our skin color. It's blessed. It's definitely blessed, but it's based on the seed that the scriptures talk about. We happen to be a dark-skinned people, but we actually have light skin to blue black. We should love what we look like. We got some people that are very, very light. There's different textures of hair. Mm-hmm. You got people that have hair. Scripture talks about the Israelites had hair like goats, but we also had hair like wool. My hair is like wool when I take it out. Yep. My son's hair is like a goat's hair. Mm-hmm. But that describes us. I don't have a problem. I raised my son to have pride. Yeah. My son has no problem saying I'm a black man. Mm-hmm. He has no problem saying that. And will say he's glad he's not the opposite. Because being a Black, Hispanic, and Native American in the end is going to pay off.
Absolutely, man. Hey,
absolutely. But you got to follow the law, statutes, and commandments. Don't think you can just be blackity black and get on them chariots. It ain't happening. All right, let me see. The hardest part was when I started hating everything about myself because I was being pointed at and attacked verbally by both Palestinians and Jews everywhere I went, she told me, because this is being written by the Middle East Monitor. This is covering a young lady who does photojournalism. Mm-hmm. And she's had some struggles being a black woman over in Palestine, receiving equally racial treatment from Palestinians and Israelis. Yo, what type of complex do you want us to have to support the very people that hate us and uplift them and all at the same time bring ourselves down another notch? We should shun Mark Lamont Hill for telling us that we should support Palestine. We should shun Amari Stoudemire for saying F us for not supporting the war over there. Yeah. Horrible things have been happening to people over there. I can attest to that. I can say, yeah, the horrible things that have happened. Y'all handle that over there. Y'all handle that. If I see a Ku Klux Klan member and a Proud Boy duking it out, shooting and fighting each other, what do I say? Oh man, the Ku Klux Klan member is washing that Proud Boy up. I might want to get over there and help. He's being oppressed. Hell no. Y'all deal with that. Y'all got a literal gang of people that's going to come to your rescue. There's a lot of Arabs that are going to try to do some terrorist acts on your behalf. I won't be a part of it. I will be over here trying to build the kingdom that Christ is going to sit on a throne for. Like, I'm not helping other people that have nothing to do with us. Let me read a little bit more of that, and then I'm gonna let us go. There's a couple verses that I'll close us out with. Let me see. We had read. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and read that. All right, so it says, we face double the harassment and double the racism for being Palestinian and for being Black. Israeli soldiers are always cursing the Black Palestinians and interrogating them whenever they pass by. That sounds like stop and frisk in New York. You cannot escape the curse of what the oppressor is going to act out on you, no matter where you are, whether it's the UK, whether it's the United States, Canada, Palestine, Jerusalem. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but there was a group of Black people that went over to Jerusalem. They ended up fighting in the war to keep their place over in Jerusalem. And do you know what ended up happening? They ended up getting kicked out. A lot of them over there for 60 years don't even have a social security card number, but their parents were American. Where are they now? We don't even know what happened to these brothers and sisters. What a disgusting beast these people are. And you want our support. Come on, man. The Lord does not want us doing that. He said, separate ourselves. The Lord gave us requirements that would help us. Right? I'm gonna just read a little bit more. Israeli soldiers. Okay, I read that part. And this is how most people in my community grow up. They got to deal with this day to day. Working as a photojournalist on 18 October last year, Salem set out to film the violent raids carried out by Israeli forces at the Damascus gate into the city. So there's some raids that's taking place. It's a wonder these Palestinians are blowing up everything, because you can see she's talking about what things are going on. She's describing it as violent raids. We're hearing a different thing on what's happening. I don't have no skin in the game, as they say. I don't got no dog in the fight, but I can definitely recognize somebody retaliating because you're doing something to them. But even still, hell, it's none of my business. Whichever side wins is going to oppress me. The Palestinians are oppressing us while being oppressed. They can't even have compassion to realize, well, damn, the Israelis are oppressing me. Maybe I shouldn't call Black people slaves. Maybe I shouldn't disrespect them. Especially they're trying to follow the same rock-kissing religion you are. But you want to oppress them. It says, Israeli forces at Damascus gate into the old city that serves as a popular gathering spot for many Palestinians. The day sticks out in her memory, not for the raids itself, because they were violent. They were really violent, is what she's saying, nor the tear gas and sound bomb attacks that followed. They even bombed them during the raids. But for what happened to her afterwards. She was alone covering events as they unfolded. If she's covering events and she's a photojournalist, she has a damn camera. Several Israeli soldiers at a military checkpoint. Oh, Salakia. She was approached by several Israeli soldiers at a military checkpoint. They assaulted her following a brief interrogation. This is her account of events. Israeli soldiers are carrying out violence, blowing up stuff. I told you, there's terrorists on both sides. And then they're going to assault and interrogate her while she's doing her job and covering things. I was taking some videos for my work, and the Israel soldiers know every journalist in Damascus. They know who she is, but yet they still assaulted and beat her. I'm gonna just skip down. During the arrest, the soldiers shouted racist abuse, including slave, and kicked and beat her until she was numb with fright and pain. We get in there. Man, to hell with both sides. To hell with both sides. Let me just get Deuteronomy 28 and 68. This is why we're not in our land right now. This is exactly why we're not in our land, because of Deuteronomy 28 and 68. It describes to us what was going to happen, and it's because we didn't follow the law, statutes, and commandments. We followed other gods. We followed other gods. We wanted the heathens over top of us, and this is what happens. We end up with two groups that are fighting, but both of them hate us. Good night. That's amazing to me.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
So we suffered slavery. We went in the ships on slavery. This is talking about the Israelites, who you ignorantly call Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Continue.
By the way thereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
We don't see our land, not the way we used to. We used to inhabit that land where they talk about Gaza, Ashkelon, Ashdod, Ekron. We don't get to see it no more. We were taken and removed far from our borders. Any more on that?
And there you should be sold unto your enemies.
The enemies. We were sold to the Palestinians and were slaves until 1939. There are people in Israel that live there that finance the slave trade. The Russians had something to do with the slave trade. The Ukrainians had something to do with the slave trade. We were sold to our enemies around the world. We can't support any of them. We lessen ourselves when we do that. We disgrace our forefathers and our foremothers, and we disobey God. Any more?
For bondmen and bondwomen.
For slave men and slave women. They call us slave till this day in Palestine. Right? Till this day.
And no man shall buy you.
Which means no man shall redeem you. That didn't happen to the Israelis. They were redeemed by the United States. And there's going to be some rock-kissing terrorists that are going to come and try to redeem the Palestinians. Let me get Luke 1:68, because we talking about salvation. I want to talk about a little bit about salvation, and we can wrap it up. I'm just gonna read Joel 3:2 for time's sake. Salakia, y'all. Don't want to keep y'all too long, but let me read Joel 3:2 real quick. And this is what's happening. The men above us are breaking down these scriptures so proper and so nice and easy for you to understand. Right? You ain't even have to go to a university. All you had to do was get in free classes and experience brotherhood, sisterhood, good food, enjoy some laughs, get it on out there for the Lord, and learn what you need to learn. That's all you had to do. But this is what the Lord is doing for us. Joel chapter 3, verse 2. I will also gather all nations. Right now, what's happening in Ukraine and what's happening in Russia is going to gather all nations. Right now, what's happening in Gaza, what's happening in Palestine, what's happening in Israel is going to gather all nations. The Lord is causing this war. He's making these fools drunk with war. It continues. And I will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel. We are the Lord's heritage. And yeah, we've been polluted. Yeah, we've had it stripped away, but this is the time to come back and pardon my land. That land isn't theirs. Not only are they in stolen land, both of them, they both hate us. I wish I could use the N-word, because that's the only thing that sparks black people up. It's like they call us N's, as my son says, NGRs, because he ain't allowed to say certain things. They call us NGRs. All right, we can read Luke 1:68 and 71. He's gathering them for our salvation.
This is the book of Luke, chapter 1 and verse 68. Blessed be the Lord God of Israel.
Yes, indeed.
For he has visited and redeemed his people.
Christ has visited and redeemed his people and was commanded by God to do it, and that's the way we were visited. Continue.
And he has raised up a horn of salvation.
That's Christ.
For us in the house of his servant David.
That's damn right. Continue.
As he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets.
Yes, he did. That's why, Salakia, that's why it says, I did not come to destroy the law or the prophets, because these things have to come to pass. That's why the law ain't done away with. Salakia, sir, continue.
Which have been since the world began, that we should be saved from our enemies.
The Palestinians.
From our enemies.
The Israelis.
From our enemies.
The Ukrainians.
From our enemies.
The Russians.
From our enemies.
The Chinese.
From our enemies.
The Japanese.
From our enemies.
Every single disgusting bastard on the face of the earth that would hate us just because of the color of our skin, come over here and treat us like dirt, and then try to use the different things that we've done for this country to their own benefit. The Palestinians come over here, open up restaurants, and they serve the same rock-kissing God as a lot of our brothers and sisters that are confused as Muslims. Do they give them a store? Do they uplift them? Hell no. They give them drugs. They turn our women into whores in their brothels and their gas stations. They don't help us.
Not at all.
Being oppressed, and you still want to oppress us. Continue.
And from the hand of all that hate us.
Every one of them. Continue. Is that it on that? Was that 71? That's it. So Mark Lamont Hill is a goddamn fool. Do not listen to him. He doesn't even know that he can't get pregnant. With that being said, I'm gonna pass the officer, Salakia, the class over precinct officer, Kaj. Yeah, but everything we had to get that situated.
Let's get another round of applause for Officer Ball for breaking down the class tonight. Appreciate him. It's not easy doing this. This is the ISUP. This is the ISUPK security announcements. Rules for new brother or sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to learn and show themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, they are to seek counsel from the head. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18 and 21. Malachi chapter 3, 8 through 10. You give a 10. Ma'asher means to give a tenth in Hebrew. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Priest fund is a free will offering for the priest, not mandatory. Whatever amount you would like to give. The upcoming holy convocations is a feast of dedication. If anybody wants to be a true